Good evening.
I think it was 53-19 there, the spread the last 15 minutes of the game. What did you see there in that collapse? What's something you pointed to there?
It was the last 3 minutes. It was tied with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. I think it was 13 or 15 to nothing. And speaking to them in there, I said that it's 180 seconds. You guys relax. It's unacceptable. It can't happen. But it's been a theme that good enough to win, but also good enough to hang in and then get beat. So there's a there's a nastiness and a fire and it has to make you mad for you to break through that, because that's what it is. It's about breaking through. Since that Portland game, losing on that call, and it's been, the competitiveness has been there, but then there's a 2 minute, 3 minute span where it's not there. In our game, that's enough to do it. That's why a 20-point lead in our game really isn't that much anymore, because it just takes a couple minutes, make some threes, get a couple stops, momentum changes, and that's what happens.
Coach Christie, the man we talked about before the game, DeAnthony Melton, he had scored 12 points on the 16 to close out that third quarter.
Yep.
But then again, Brandin Podziemski had 2 points to 3 quarters and then against the.
Yeah, his were late though, but yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the effort, because on one of those baskets, Brandin just walks down the middle of the lane.
Yeah.
Had that dunk that basket. What was going on?
Yeah, I would have to go back and look at it, because in many ways, when we start to solo trying to get the ball out of Steph's hand, I don't think he was in at that particular time. But when you start to scramble and trap and put two on the ball, that last rotation, listen, there's no excuse for somebody not to be there, but for me to say it right now on who missed the rotation, I believe that was a multiple effort play. And but even when Steph was in early on and we were still tight in the game or had the lead, like, there were times where the ball is on one side of the court and we have not shifted the gym over. Even some of my younger players, and it's they have to rep it, see it, and continuously understand that when the ball moves, you move, and that's one of those type of plays that even when you're scrambling, you have to take care of the paint, and we didn't do that.
Communication has to do something with it.
Definitely, but when you get in a scramble, you still have to communicate. But when you struggle to communicate and then you need to communicate early, that those don't go hand in hand. And we've struggled to communicate sometimes, and now you're in a scramble, and you most definitely have to, but you should start in and build your way out.
Doug, two things for you. That second half, how much did you feel like was your defense affecting your offense compared to offensive inefficiencies?
It was. I thought that we put our head down. We missed some shots, some wide open looks, and I thought that we allowed actually our offense to hurt our defense in the same effort, the same intensity, as far as our reds, meaning when Steph is coming off or someone. And early, we were redding up, physical, hands-on, controlling the screener, all the things that we talk about and we rep in practice. And when you get lax for a second, which they did, and I believe Steph hit 2 threes in that run. That's really all it takes. It's a blink of an eye for a guy like that and a team like this to get going, and it happened in a 3 minute span.
And you mentioned it a little bit there with the red zone stuff, especially early in the game. How much do you feel like he was able to get a momentum, and some of their other guys as well early on, and that led into the rest?
Well, you have to pick your poison. You're not going to take away everything in our league. So what are you willing to deal with? What are you willing to live with? If Post is going to hit a couple threes because we have to veer off a little late and still contest it, we'll live with that. If Draymond is going to hit threes, we're going to live with that. So there are things that we're going to live with, but one thing that you don't want is you don't want Steph to get going, and it took him until the third quarter and a little later there to get going.
Coach, earlier you mentioned about like guys need to get mad when runs aren't going you guys' way. Obviously, everybody in the locker room cares, but do you feel like they're caring enough?
Yeah, these are professionals, man. I would never question that. I mean, for them, I know their pain. I understand they want to win. Um, but that pain has to carry you a little bit more, because that little bit is that 180 seconds that I'm talking about. And when you do feel a bucket and something happens, instead of just racing down and not running anything, you got to slow down, get into something. When we got into something and were organized and made sure that we made them play defense, move the ball and move bodies, shift from one side of the floor to the other side of the floor, we got great shots. Now, if you don't make them, okay, that's okay. But even then, when you don't make them, don't let that affect your defensive effort and intensity and all those things. You got to come together as a team and figure it out.
Doug Malik there in the first half seemed to give you guys a little bit of a spark.
Yeah.
What did you see from him? What you like? And maybe did he earn himself some minutes here in the future?
You know, listen, we're trying to win games. So Malik tonight he came in, gave us a bump. Nobody's particular fault. It's going to be some nights it's going to be Malik, some nights it might be Keon, it's going to be Neek. It depends. I mean, if we need a little bit more size, we might go in a different direction. If we need the offensive punch, we might go in a different direction. So, no, I thought Malik did a good job.
Doug, you mentioned earlier the theme. You guys play well enough to win, play well enough to go on to. As a coach, how bittersweet is that? How do you do it? Are you proud that you guys are hanging in there, or is it frustrating that you're just not able to get over the hump?
Nah, for me, that's all bitter. There's nothing sweet about it, man. There's absolutely zero sweetness to that. We're not playing the game to hang in there. We're not playing the game to play for 45 minutes. We're playing the game to play for 48 minutes. And the mental toughness that it takes in that moment, we have to find that. And it's in there. You just have to go through it and find it. And I think that allowing, as I said, sometimes the fact that we don't do something on one end of the court, like making shots, affect the other end. That's the mental toughness, because one thing should not affect another. It just, I get it in life, but in sports, you got to be tough enough to say, you know what, that's okay. Hey, everybody, let's get together. Let's lock down. We just need one stop. And then go down, get organized, and get a bucket, take a deep breath, and go at it again. And you need to do it in those moments, in that 180 seconds. You got to do it one play at a time. You can't let them stack up, and that's ultimately what happened. They stack one on top of another, and that's how you get a 13 or 15-0 run.
You hinted at it a little bit there, but how much was Malik playing tonight, matchup specific, with them being a little bit smaller? It seemed like he was out there in favor of Precious.
Yeah, I mean, they played small, and, so we matched. I mean, there's many things that when you look at them and what the problems that they possess, especially with Steph and the screens and game plan as far as reading 1 through 4 and being physical and reading up, all those things are huge. The one part when I look at this, obviously that we like, and we got to make sure that we do it at a high level, is getting out rebounded by 10. That ain't it. And that's what our big lineup. And but when we did play big for a few minutes, I have to go back and look at it. It didn't feel like we were rebounding the ball at a high level. And that's something that defend, rebound, and share the ball. Rebounding is huge because it happens on both ends of the court. You rebound offensively when you crash, and you rebound defensively to end the possession. So that is a stickler of mine and will be of Kings basketball. We must rebound the basketball, because if you don't, you're still on defense.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it, y'all. Yep.